everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jimmy, and today we'll take a look at the highest rated plug-and-play system there is. Now this is the Nakamichi Dragon 11.4.6 surround sound system. The one that I have here has two dual opposing 8-inch subwoofers capable of putting out 3,000 watts and 125 decibels. It also works with Dolby Atmos, DTS-X. Along with that, it also has OmniMotion wireless surround and adaptive height dispersion. It's also compatible with HDMI 2.1, Dolby Vision, HDR10, 4K 120Hz, 8K Ultra HD, and Qualcomm aptX HD. Now because this unit weighs so much, this thing weighs 125 pounds total, it'll come to your house in 3 different boxes. The first one is the 2 surround sound speakers, while the other is your main unit, and the biggest one will hold both of your subwoofer enclosures. Now I'm very familiar when it comes down to the Nakamichi brand. I've been using Nakamichi in the living room for the past 4, 5, or 6 years. The system before this was the Nakamichi 9.2.4 system. This one was great, but it had wires everywhere. Sometimes you would maybe get a little bit of distortion or a crackling or a little bit of a connection issue. But so far when it comes down to the Dragon, everything has been perfect. So trying to compare this pound for pound pretty much, this is a plug-and-play system, all wireless. It has 17 channels. It has 3,000 watts of power and up to 125 decibels. If you try to compare this versus any other AVR system to get anywhere close, in order to get, again, that 11.4.6, you have to go out there and get a AV receiver, you have to get the processor, the amplifiers, the cables, the speakers and subwoofers and everything. So going price for price, this one right here, if you try to compare it versus the full AVR system, you would have to spend anywhere close to $30,000. So taking a look at our setup, I have the main unit right there in the center, and it's pretty much the same length of our TV. So it's a 58-inch long main unit chassis, and it's made of stainless steel. Then we have the 2 subwoofer enclosures right over there, one on the left, one on the right. Each of those enclosures have 2 8-inch opposing subwoofers, which means there's 2 8-inch subs in each of these boxes pointing the opposite direction. Then we have one of these surround sound speakers sitting over here, and this thing is pretty massive. This thing is pretty much like 8.8 pounds. So with it being so large, I had to go off and purchase a new stand. And then with that one sitting there, the other one is sitting right over here. Now what I love the most about these surround sound speakers, and also those 2 subwoofers, and also the main unit, is that it's all wireless. So this is basically a plug and play system giving you a crazy output. And then on both of the surround sound speakers, you have this unique option on the very top where you can actually rotate your up-firing drivers. So depending on your room size, the ceiling height, or any of the angles on the ceiling, you can actually rotate these up-firing drivers for the best sounding height sound. So this portion here is the most important part of the video. This is where you're able to get input other than just my own. So this way it's completely unbiased. You're going to hear it from several other people. So I brought over 3 neighbors. I just let them know, hey, we're going to shoot a video for YouTube. It's a first impression of a brand new sound system or surround sound system for your TV. As they got here, I mentioned that it is from Nakamichi, as they were wondering about the brand. And so what we'll do in this video here is listen to their fresh thoughts and first impressions of every single portion of this video here, which is watching Interstellar at the 59-minute mark of them going through the wormhole. We're also going to watch Jurassic Park: The Lost World, Chapter 9. And then we'll also, I'm going to play a little bit of a gameplay of Halo Infinite so that we can put it into game mode. So this way they can hear what it sounds like if you wanted to game with a powerful sound system. Then we move over into Bluetooth, so this way I'd be able to Bluetooth a song on over. We're listening to Post Malone, Candy Paint. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on that song, and I want them to listen to it. But not only just in regular Dolby Atmos or the whole surround sound, I also moved it over into Studio. And then after Studio, it went over into All Channel. So maybe if you want to have a party and you want to have, you know, equal sounds coming from every portion of the room, I went to All Channel. And then after that, I went to Stereo. And then we'll finish this video up with the demo from Nakamichi. So there is no visual with this. I'll let them know either you can close your eyes or just look at the soundbar. The first one is about environment and just listening to what the sound system was capable of doing. And then there's another one, which I didn't even tell them what it was, but it was a jet or airplane flying overhead. So let's get into this part because I'm excited. I want to know exactly what they're going to say. So it's not just my input and thoughts of the sound system. So it's going to be coming from 3 helpful neighbors. All right, so that was Interstellar through the wormhole. What do you think about that?
Actually, my sound system at home, I've got to figure something out because usually if I'm pumping power and all the sound sounds good, I can't hear the voices or vice versa. And that one I could hear the voices, which was great. So all the boom and everything was happening, and then I was able to clearly hear what people were saying. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, like you said, my sound system also, it's if I have the volume up, if I have the bass up, I really can't hear what they're saying. So I have to choose one or the other. Both of them were very clear. And it sounded like the sound was coming towards us as they were going through space. You can actually hear it coming towards you. And I thought that was pretty impressive. I could feel it. It kind of felt like there was something thumping in the back of the couch. And I noticed the blinds were shaking just a little bit too.
Well, the volume was only at 20, which it can go to 100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just remember the intense sound, almost like in my chest, and just it was very clear and crisp. It made you feel like you were in the movie.
All right, so that was The Lost World, Chapter 9 with some dinosaurs and some rain and a whole bunch of stuff. What do you guys think of that one?
The power was definitely there as far as the bass and all that. I mean, you're talking dinosaurs, hitting against a building. So that was cool. But I found it most interesting when they stepped outside and the rain was happening. It wasn't just a din of rain. You could hear it individually kind of raining, drops hitting all around the room. So it felt like you're kind of in it.
Yeah, kind of how I mentioned in Interstellar, it sounded like the sound was coming towards you and you were moving in it. This one, it moved side to side, and you could, when the dinosaurs were on the left side, it sounded like they were coming from the left side. The surround sound just is very impressive. And like he said, the rain, it sounded like I was actually standing in the rain. Like I could feel it or hear it all around me.
Likewise, with the dinosaur roars, I mean, it just made you really feel like you were in the movie. Crisp sound all the way around you. Just the surround sound is really amazing.
All right, for gameplay, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It makes the game more fun when you hear the sound that way, right? Because you have the explosions and you have the people talking around you. And it just, again, just like the movies, it just really makes you feel like you're in it, and it makes it just that much more fun.
Yeah, pretty much exactly what you said, but it's fun to hear the whistling going by it sounds like it's going by your ear.
As an old man who still does like to game, but I'm usually in a headset, I got to say this is pretty great because, especially in a shooter like that, you want to be able to hear the things around you. And so what the coolest, it was actually after you died, and there was somebody tossed a grenade, and I heard it bounce across your living room over there. That was pretty great. Directional sound is important, yeah.
All right, so we were able to listen to music with Dolby Surround, with Studio, all channel, and then stereo. What do you guys think?
The Studio was the most impressive, I think, when you, the other ones, the music was everywhere. The stereo, you could hear from side to side, but when you put it on Studio, it was all different parts of the music were being played separately in parts of the room. It was like somebody stood up right there and started singing right there, and you could hear something separate over here versus over there.
Yeah, what I noticed when you switched to Studio was it felt like I was just in a little box that was about the size of of just the four of us here, and the music was just concentrated there. It was pretty neat.
Yeah, I would say so. Just trying to put myself in this sound system in my house. So we have a rec room, we have a pool table and a dart board and a foosball table, and it's nice to be able to turn some music on when you have people over and you're just kind of hanging out, But you don't want it to be too loud, but you wanted to kind of hear it from all the different places, right? And so this would be perfect for that. But then occasionally there's times where it gets a little later and you've had a few drinks and you want to crank the music up and everybody's just kind of jamming, and this is perfect for that too. It's great sound and just perfect for that type of occasion.
Yeah. And that was on level 14 for sound. So now this last one, this is the one either you can close your eyes or you can look directly at the sound bar because there's no visual with it. This is peak performance is the best way I can put it. This is them, Nakamichi, putting in the demo. Like, this is the song to show anything and everything, just to ensure that you can know what it could do for its possibilities, as some things could be, 5.1 or 7.1. This is the whole Wrath. So that was the two quick demos from Nakamichi, the environment and the airplane going over. Thoughts?
Definitely, again, surround. It was everywhere. It was moving. Pieces were here, they were there. All of it would move to one area. But then when you cranked up for that second one with the jet basically flying over our head, like, almost made my eyes water. I was like, okay, I'm trying to hang in there with that. It was pretty loud.
Yeah, it was definitely loud. Just like we experienced with the other displays, it just did an amazing job of displaying the directions. When the airplane was going over, I just kept telling myself, like, don't look up. Like, it's not really a plane. And I'm pretty sure your dog jumped down looking for whatever bird was floating from the left to right.
Yeah, just that demo is awesome. It just knocks your socks off. It just makes you feel like you're in a theater at the beginning, when a movie starts, and the sound just gets you in that excitement. It gets you excited to watch the movie you're about to watch. That just really was very impressive.
Yeah, and so that was the loudest I've ever done the last demo at 40. Usually I do it at 20 or 30. The level can go to 100, which I don't want to break the windows. So this is the Nakamichi Dragon with dual opposing 8-inch subwoofers, and it's a 11.4.6 channel system. So pretty much this is probably the champion of plug and play, as it is all just wireless. The only plugs that there is, or wires there is the power cables for both the surround sound speakers, the subs, and the soundbar. So trying to compare it versus like top-notch AVR, like AV receivers out there, in order to get the components, the speakers, the cables, everything, it would be closer to like 30 grand to getting something that could sound close to this, as this is all wireless, plug and play, and it worked within the setup of 10, 15 minutes. Peak power is rated for 3,000 watts and 125 decibels. Now let's take a look at just how massive this sound system is. So first up is the soundbar. You can just see how much it dwarfs the older version of the soundbar. This is just long and wide and just all around huge. Then also, when it comes down to the surround sound speakers, the one in the middle is the newest Dragon setup. You can just see how much larger it is than those other two surround sound speakers sitting there. And now onto the subwoofer enclosures. Sorry for the one on the left being a little dirty. That's the one we've been using for several years, but they're pretty similar when it comes down to the size. But don't forget, you do have those dual opposing subwoofers, so there's one on each side. So inside the box for the main unit, you'll have all of your accessories. You're going to have your HDMI cable, the remote, you're going to have the power cable, the batteries, your manual. Same thing when it comes down over into the subwoofers and your surround sound speakers. Basically, those will come with their own power cables. Now, what's unique about the main unit is that this is a 58-inch stainless steel chassis. It has 14 speaker drivers, all powered by 7 digital amplifiers. Now, what's more impressive is that every speaker channel has its own dedicated enclosure. So you're basically ensuring uninterrupted air movement for sound separation. That means every single speaker that's inside of here, every single driver, has its own space, its own enclosure. So basically you have a 58-inch stainless steel chassis with 14 speaker drivers powered by 7 digital amplifiers, each speaker with its own dedicated compartment. And then right in the middle right here is the built-in AVR. So your AV receiver is right there in the center. So for your 6 up-driving channels, you'll have one of them sitting here on your left surround sound speaker. You'll have another one of those drivers over here on the right-hand side for your surround sound. And then for the additional 4, which again, 6 total up-firing drivers, you'll have 2 sitting right over here. And then you have another 2 sitting there, giving you a total of your 6 up-firing drivers or speakers. Now we'll take a look at the remote and give it a quick comparison versus the older remote from the older Nakamichi sound system that I have. So this one over here is for the brand new Dragon. And we'll also take a look at the application. This thing is so awesome to just run through with your phone, making all of the changes you want with everything all in their own categories, from the main unit over into the subwoofers. You can even make it to where instead of all 4 of them running, you can bring it down to 1 or 2 that are turned on. You know, if you're watching movies at night and you don't want to wake everybody up, you can make and fine tune everything with your surround sound speakers as well as the height effects. So pretty much we'll first take a look at this remote, and taking a look at this remote, there is a few small changes from the older setup over here. So this one actually has the word setup and this one has the word home. When it comes down to this home button, this is actually where you can have your on display settings. This is where you can go through all the different settings of how you want your system set up, you know, the connection type, what is actually turned on when you're watching a movie. Is it movie 1 or is it movie 2 settings? You'd be able to go through, and you can also change the setup of the room if you have a small room, a medium room, or a large room. So there's a lot of different settings that you can do there with the on display settings, and that is just by tapping on this home button. And then this is where you go through and you use these arrows as well as the enter when you're inside of this mode. Now, the cool thing also with these arrows here and with this play and pause button is that when you are connected via Bluetooth, this little area actually controls the Bluetooth that's connected to the soundbar. So pretty much I'm able to hit, play and pause with whatever Bluetooth device I'm using, which is my phone. I'd also be able to, go forward a song, and I'd also be able to go back to a previous song or the very beginning. So as long as you're listening to Bluetooth, this right here is the controls for that. Now on the very top, this is where you have your power button and also the mute button. Pretty much this is your TV. So this is your eARC that goes, from the soundbar to your TV. And then you'll have your HDMI 2, HDMI 3, HDMI 4, you have Bluetooth, your optical, here's your output, auxiliary, as well as USB. So on the back bottom of the main unit is where all of your plugs and all your ports are at, and that's where you have your eARC, which is HDMI 1, which is a out, and that goes to your TV. Then you're able to plug in 3 different units for HDMI 2, HDMI 3, and HDMI 4. They're all HDMI 2.1 versions. Then on the other side, just on the bottom, again, you still have your auxiliary out, the optical out. You also have auxiliary in, optical in, USB, which is basically used for updates, and then as well as the power port. So going through the rest of the remote, we already took a look at everything on the top. Then you have your music, movie, game, night, and DSP. So pretty much this is where if you're listening to music, put it on music mode. If you're watching movies, you can listen to movies and you just tap on movie. But you also have different settings for movies. You have movie option number 1, 2, and 3. So you can tap this 3 different times to figure out which one is best for your room. And you also have games, so if you're playing a game, select the option for game. And then for the red button and the blue button, basically the blue button, this one allows you to go into your Dolby Surround or also your DTS Natural X or inside of studio and also native. And then for the all channel stereo, this one will put you over into the all channel stereo, which is actually pretty nice if you want to have all of the speakers play pretty much at the same volume. This is perfect for, if you're watching YouTube or listening to music. And then if you press this one more time, it goes inside of stereo only, which basically just has the playback coming from the main unit and subwoofers and no surround. So some of the other main things would be your bass. So this right here, when you click it up, this will turn up the bass a level, turn it down a level, basically going from, level 1 all the way up to level 10. And same thing with the volume. So you just press it up or press it down for your volume control. And then for the buttons on the bottom, this is for your center. This is also for treble. This is for your surround sound sides. This is for your surround sound back. So if you want to have your back speakers go up a little bit more or down, or maybe the ones that's on the side if you want it to go up or down. You also have a couple favorite options right there. And then for your the adaptive height dispersion, this is where you can also make some changes here. So here's like your front height. This is also your front height, so if you want it to be, higher or lower, for higher ceilings, and then same thing for the rear height. So you're able to bring it down or bring it up. So here is the Nakamichi Dragon application. This is where I can make all of the changes individually between all of the, main unit, the surround, the height, the subwoofers. How many of these puppies do I actually want on? So I can actually tap on some of these and I can turn off or on some of the subwoofers. Now I am probably a little bit too far away from the soundbar, so I might not be able to make changes, but you can see at least one of them turned off. So at night, what you can do is you can maybe just have one or two of these subwoofers on, so it's not so hard hitting. So this is where you can make changes with your subwoofers. You can go right on back. Then you can also make changes with your surround sound speakers. So if you want to put in a little bit more power for your rear height or the surround sound back, you can make those adjustments and bring them down maybe to 8 or 9 if there's one of those you want to be a little bit louder. Then you'll also have the option right over here for your height effects. So pretty much this is where if you want to have it as max. So if you want it to just go to the full max, fill up the whole room, you can. If you want it to have like a wide sound or focal, so it's kind of like where something is in the movie, where it should be in the room, you can actually have it set up for that as well too. So I just set this one and kept it as max. On the very top, I can switch it from HDMI 1, HDMI 2, HDMI 3, HDMI 4, or even Bluetooth. Up here, I can switch it between Movie 1, Movie 2, Movie 3, or Music 1, Music 2, Music 3. So you can actually go through and change all of them. If I was connected to the soundbar, if I was a bit closer, I'd be able to, make these changes. Also, you have your Dolby Surround. So if you want to have Dolby Surround or if you want to have the all channel, this is where you can switch it there as well. This is where you can also change the volume of the soundbar. So if you want it to be quieter or if you want it to be louder. So if you are not near your remote, basically this application will allow you to do everything. You can also change the volume of your treble. So if you want it to be higher, maybe up at 6 or 7 or 8. And you'll also be able to change the bass. So if you want to have more bass all the way up to 10, or maybe again, it's at night, you bring it down to 1 or 2. And then you also have the option for remote. This is where you have the remote for play, pause, back and forward and all that good stuff. You can also turn on the on-screen display, basically for you to make changes if you would want to on the TV. And then when you go inside of info, this will give you all the info of what you have set up. We're on HDMI 2. The video format will let us know. The EQ is movie 2. Master volume is at 35. Adaptive subwoofer, so you have which subwoofers are turned on. Your the adaptive height dispersion. You also have your surround sound mode as Dolby Surround, and then audio format. So it's going to let you know all of that stuff. So this application is very intuitive. You're able to go through and make all of these subtle changes you want to have the best sound. So here is my final review and thoughts of the sound system after 30 days. Now I wanted to write everything down and put it all together at the time of whatever I was feeling about the sound system, so there was nothing left out. Now first off, this thing is over-the-top plug-and-play sound system that can't be beat. Now you are able to tone it down if you want to. You don't have to have the bass all the way at 10, and you don't have to have the volume all the way up at 20. So in my normal day-to-day watching TV, I would sometimes have the bass down at 4 or 5. Now, when it comes down to the sound, it does have the boom, it has the punch whenever you want it, and you can also switch it from the 4 subs all the way down to 1 or 2. So if you're watching it at night, you don't want to wake anybody up, you can switch it from the 4 to 1 or 2, so you have a little bit of punch, but not as much. Now, it has clarity with voices, the environment, the slight tings and tangs of wind chimes, and glass shattering, even in the big scenes. Sometimes you'll watch a big scene, it's very loud, but you're missing some of these small nuanced things. even especially just voices. Sometimes you'd have to switch the settings to hear what is going on because maybe the scene is too much, and this one just has a perfect mix of the two. Now, there's absolutely no cracking, there's no distortion, or no connection issues. Even though it's completely wireless, it has a full body sound. With HDMI 2.1, it keeps the highest standard in video, as well as Dolby Vision, 120 Hz refresh rate, 4K, and just everything else. When it comes to the setup, it's all wireless except for the power cables, and setting up takes less than 10 or 15 minutes. It just depends on where you want to have your speakers and main unit go. You also have the remote and the application. Both are very intuitive and a lot of capabilities for fine tuning, depending on how you want your height dispersion to go, or where you want, if you have a small room, medium room, or a large room. It is elegant, it's in charge, it's the highest quality materials and design, and it is worthy of the name of Dragon. So if you made it this far in the video, I highly suggest taking a look at the description and take a look at the pinned comment, as I did place the link for the sound system for you to learn more. Hopefully you guys have appreciated this video. If you guys did, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe on the very bottom left-hand side. And if you like this video, then more than likely, you'll also like this video. And I'll see you guys later.